I cannot think of really something that's amazed me or surprised me being a bestseller. But it takes a lot of work and struggle to get through the wholesalers and the retailers to promote anything. It's practically impossible for something to make any surprise on people by becoming a massive bestsellers. Like, you know, I haven't mentioned before that up to 70% of our production in publishing is actually translation. So we pretty much look up to the West, the English.
You look to see what's working elsewhere.
As a dominant, as a dominant provider of titles, and I would say probably erotica was slightly below expectations when it comes to 50 Shades has obviously swept the market totally for 2 or 3 seasons, but not much more followed, and that's probably what's my observation. Is probably it went a bit broader in many other markets and territories, both in translation and in domestics. In Australia, I suppose, I've seen a number of erotica sort of genres and commercial women's fiction being more and more romanticized. And it doesn't really take place in Poland at all. I mean, it's probably E.L. James and nothing much to it, because in this instance, I think publishers were pretty much cautious about how far to go and follow the footsteps of the hits, the obvious one. Because in the case of Twilight, for instance, which was the previous phenomena, there's been like outburst of everything that's similar to that, and in a year there's been too much to it, and everybody was just following vampires and everything. And in this respect, I think partly I think it was the crisis and probably the wholesaling problems and retailing problems and the notoriety of the pornography within the 50 Shades that made people sort of step back and let things go in their own direction. And probably most publishers just do their own job and do it the best way, or they simply cater for the basic needs of providing for the employees in that respect. But things are rather predictable, I must say, in terms of what's selling nicely is, I think, Kate Morton, teenage adventure stories for boys are still selling very well. One of the biggest surprises in the last decade was probably Trudy Canavan, who hasn't sold in Poland for a number of years, and then when it sold to a debut publisher who's just set up the house 2 months before, and then it's sold over 500,000 copies in 4 years. So that's one of the examples which makes you think, wow, there's plenty of opportunity out there in the market. And it's actually the same